All right, so we'll start our Real Housewives of Salt Lake City with Lisa Barlow.
I love that.
Kind of a star.
I love that.
And we actually know her birth time. Okay, so 5 p.m. So, I mean, maybe it's not like exact because it's 0500, but probably close enough. So we're gonna go with this with her birth time. If you haven't seen a South Indian chart before, if you haven't seen Vedic Astrology or whatever, this square here is always Aries, and then Taurus, Gemini, etc., all the way around to Pisces over here. So that's how we go. This is Lisa Barlow. She is a Gemini ascendant, and we're not obviously going to talk about everything because, yeah, that's crazy. If you want me to do a video just on Lisa, I could do that since we have her birth time, but really, I'd like to just focus. I mean, first of all, she's a Gemini, she's pretty sharp, etc. But the ruler, Mercury of Gemini, is in her 6th house, which, my goodness, she has quite a stellium here in Scorpio. And a lot of these ladies in Salt Lake City do have placements in Scorpio. And I'm actually getting quite curious if all the housewives, no matter where, have a lot of Scorpio, because I mean, Scorpio's deep, dramatic. Can be a lot of jealousy and things like that, you know. So it seems like a really appropriate sign for people who are going to bring the drama in, you know, into the housewives. So Lisa, yeah, her Mercury actually is conjunct the sun in the 6th house. And all these planets, okay, in the 6th, this just makes her a real worker, first of all. And, you know, being conjunct the sun, it makes her a boss too. Or, you know, you might say bossy also, of course. But this is what she's got there. And then she's got Neptune and Rahu exactly conjunct, you know, at 16 degrees. I'm going to call this the Vita Tequila combination because, you know, anything that Rahu's the north node of the moon, and if you have a planet with the north node of the moon, it's going to be really easy to access that energy. So Neptune, you know, that can be intoxicants. Okay, so the alcohol for sure is Neptune with her Rahu in the house of work. Okay, they own this tequila company. She, along with John, her husband, John Barlow. And for John, it's interesting. One technique to see the husband in a woman would be to look at Jupiter and how many houses away Mars is from Jupiter. So Lisa's got, you know, her Jupiter or her Mars is 10 houses from the Jupiter, which is, you know, career or work, especially career, and how, you know, you're seen in the world. And so she and John are, you know, they have this career together. And so that's cool. I mean, if you have this in your chart, it could be like you meet somebody at work or, you know, other things like that. Another way to see the husband in a chart or see the spouse actually would be to look 7 houses from the moon. So look across from the moon. If there is a planet across from the moon, it's going to describe the spouse. And so John is kind of a Saturnian fellow. He's quite slender. I guess he's kind of tall. I've not really noticed. I mean, they're both tall and thin. And he's, yeah, kind of serious, right? Kind of quiet guy compared to Lisa anyway. And yeah, I actually have this as well, the Saturn opposite the moon. So I don't know if that's like why I actually like John Barlow a lot. He's my favorite house husband. Who's your favorite housewife? Who's your favorite house husband? I'd love to know these things. She's got moon in Mula. So this isn't showing the moon signs, the nakshatras, as it's showing the sun signs, right? We've got the 12 sun signs and there are 27 nakshatras. And moon in Mula really makes her a straight shooter, okay? She's she's not shy, okay? And then moon conjunct Venus, this is, you know, makes her a lover of beauty and luxuries and have a lot of desires. Yeah, I mean, both in love and just material things. Like Venus is just material luxuries. I'm going to call this Moon-Venus combination the I don't fly coach and I don't carry coach. This is the first class combination. It's not going to be the case for everybody. I also have Moon and Venus together. I do not in the 7th though, not in a as prominent a house. Okay, so next we have Meredith Marks, and we do not know the birth time for her, so just ignore this ascendant. That is almost certainly not her ascendant. And the moon is, I looked, between the boundaries of like 12 a.m. and then 12 a.m. the next day. The moon is actually definitely in Scorpio. So yeah, it's between just into Scorpio and 12 degrees or so. The sun, however, possibly could be the very beginning of Sagittarius, just the very, very sliver of Sagittarius, but probably in Scorpio. And it's Gandanta. It is like kind of in this really difficult trouble region between the water and the fire signs. So yeah, again, a ton of Scorpio, this like real dramatic, intense sign that can really probably make a good housewife. She's got sun and moon in Scorpio and some other stuff, including Mercury, like the intellectual mind. So like she's got the intellect, the emotional mind. It's all there in Scorpio. The sun, right? The soul. Yeah, she's got like probably the moon's quite close to Neptune also. And then of course, again, opposite from Saturn, which can be depressing. Like, I wonder, Meredith, I don't remember her talking so much about mental health, about her own mental health as, say Whitney would, but I bet she struggles, maybe with addiction also. Moon being so close to Neptune. Yeah, sometimes it does seem like she's really on something. I'm just gonna put that out there. Okay, so what else do we have about Meredith? Just a beautiful synastry with Lisa. Lisa's Mercury and Sun are actually very close to Meredith's Mercury, Sun, and Jupiter. It gives a nice bond. They are really friends, and that's probably, there's enough glue there, I guess, that they are friends again, or still friends. I'm not sure I'd still be friends with somebody who said I'd half of New York. Now, looking at the husband, the same technique that we used with Lisa and John. So Meredith's Mars is 4 places from her Jupiter. So that really gives them a homebody nature. They like to do things at home together. They like to cook. You don't see Lisa and John cooking. These two are like, they like being in the bath together. And again, Meredith also has the Saturn opposite the moon as far as like Saturn representing the husband, but it doesn't seem, what's his name, Seth? I don't see him as much of a Saturn guy. He's kind of like silly and dopey sometimes, and like, I don't think he's tall. I don't think he's, maybe he's older than her. That would be Saturn, but he's not my favorite. I didn't like him this season with that like biatch comment or whatever. All right, so this is Heather Gay, and some things that really stand out with Heather, or what stands out the most to me, is see her Sun and Saturn together, like within the same degree here in Gemini. This, when you have Sun and Saturn together, this is really hard and really affects her confidence. So that's why it's like, Heather's always struggled with confidence. Over time, it gets better, as you get older with Saturn, things do get better. Interestingly, also, I think the Mercury is about a degree from Saturn. And Mercury, amongst other things, is the skin. It's going to be in its own house here, so that's nice. And Saturn is the significator for work, for career. So it kind of matches with her beauty laser lab. So I thought that was interesting. Her Rahu actually is very conjunct Lisa's Mercury, which I think is like where, Heather always seems to have like a craving to be friends with Lisa, or at least she did in the beginning and when they were younger and all that. So Heather has her Mars is actually 6 from Jupiter, which 6 can be difficult. We know she's had challenges in relationship, or her marriage was difficult all that. Next time, I mean, sixth house can also be like just people in the service professions. So, I mean, like a nice hot fireman would be great, right? For her, a nice hot firefighter, emergency medical person, something like that would be sixth house. And nice for Heather. I see her with someone like big and beefy and I don't know, just a like strong caregiving guy. What do y'all think? Okay, so from Heather to Whitney now. This is Whitney's chart. She definitely has her moon in Pushya Nakshatra, smack in the middle of Cancer there. So that makes her very beautiful. The Mars across from the moon would also give her husband would mean either that he's a Mars person. I mean, he doesn't like so much seem to be. Definitely would give a divorce. So, you know, she was divorced actually right before Justin, right? She married the first husband literally 2 years before she married Justin. So that was a very quick one. That was, you know, Mars across from the moon also can mean you fight with your husband. So I don't know if she fights with Justin a bunch or that Justin is just a Mars kind of person, which he doesn't seem to be like sporty or military or anything like that, you know, police guy, like any of these typical, maybe he's playful. Yeah, I mean, and I guess maybe adventurous in some ways, like slapping each other with the body paint. Yeah, so maybe. The other, you know, way we're looking from Jupiter to Mars is 12 houses. So, you know, that could mean Justin's a spiritual guy, or it could mean that they as a couple have a lot of expenses, like they spend a lot. That could be their thing. I don't know. Another thing that stands out to me in her chart is she's got K2, the south node of the moon, really closely conjunct Mercury in its exaltation sign, Virgo here. So this actually would make her very psychic, spiritual as well, but probably quite psychic. All right, so we have Mary Cosby here. Not too much stands out to me. She does have Jupiter and Rahu together. They're not very close, but, you know, planet with Rahu will give you significations of that planet will be strong. So, you know, Jupiter is religion. So that clearly shows, you know, Mary's the head of that church. And she's got the Mars, her Mars is 10th from Jupiter, which shows that the husband was working with her, right, in the church. So let's talk about some of the new ladies. Brittany Bateman. Wow, she is very, very talented. I have not seen her perform, but I learned that she has been on Broadway and she's been an actress in movies and all that, and she really has the talent. You can see Venus and Mercury together. They're quite close, 3 degrees apart, and Venus is actually in a Venus-ruled nakshatra, so this is the arts. Actually, Venus-Mercury is the top combination for singing and performing arts, and then the moon is also in probably, you know, we don't know the birth time, but probably in Purva Phalguni, which is also Venus ruled. So she's got a lot of artistic and performing talent. She's got Neptune conjunct Jupiter, which would be the husband, and you know, those are like a degree apart. So it at best makes her idealistic in love, but at worst and most probably just delusional. One of the issues is she just wants it so badly too. So she's got Sun in Rohini. Rohini Nakshatra that's like the Garden of Eden. So people with top placements here, they can be very desirous, like indulgent, like, you know, with things like food and sex. And, you know, for her, she's got Rahu with Mars, which Mars is like vitality and also sex drive. So she's probably like, it just expands that. The Rahu, Mars, and the Sun in Rohini, I think these are the combinations for high body count hair. It's sad because she's kind of ashamed of that, right? Because of the influence of the church and all that. She's got Mars is 3 houses from Jupiter. So 3 houses, I mean, she should meet a guy singing, you know. I hope she'll go back on Broadway now that she's got the popularity from being on the Housewives and all that. Like, I mean, if that's what she wants. And maybe she'll meet somebody through that, or through singing. I mean, maybe she'll become a bigger recording artist or whatever. I hope she comes back. I found her quite entertaining. All right, so next is Bronwyn. And Bronwyn, wow, she got a lot in Leo here. Moon is probably in Leo, and Sun is definitely in Leo, and then she's got a couple other planets there. She likes to be the center of attention, right? And she's got this showy nature with the costumes, or the ones that are legit costumes, and others which are just fashion, right? But she does enjoy that attention. And looking at the husband thing, so she's got her Mars 8 houses from Jupiter. 8 houses is other people's money, is big money. Yeah, he's Mr. Palm Pilot. He's got a lot of money. 8th house can also be hidden things like infidelity, which I know she's alluded to as well. I think she might have some really big changes coming up. I mean, I actually don't doubt that, they've had, I think they've had a pretty stable relationship, and I think she loves him. I think he loves her. He's a grouch, but I think he's probably been a good dad and to her daughter, and yeah. But enough about my opinions. Anyways, I think she's got maybe some big sudden changes coming up though, and definitely some reorganization. K2 is going to be transiting back through Leo, and then look, she's got Venus at the end of Cancer. So the next, that can really reorganize a lot of stuff for her, especially, going over the sun and the moon. And then, over Venus, the love life. This is going to be in the next, definitely less than 2 years by the time it goes through all of this. And Uranus is going to, it's stationing in a week or two, right at, I think, 29 degrees Aries. So exactly 7 relationship houses from her Saturn there, and squaring her Venus as well when you're in a station. So maybe some sudden insights and changes in relationship. All right, so now we have Angie Katsanevas. What I noticed the most from her chart is how close Sun and Venus are, first of all. Again, a lot of Scorpio in these Housewives. But Angie, this is actually a top for models. She's very beautiful. I can't believe she's 50. She looks really good for 50. This just makes her charming, happy, generally very happy person. Gives her a great dad. So the son being the father gives her a nice father. With her mother, we can see the influence. We can see Rahu being near Neptune. For her, how that Neptune plays into her life is definitely her mother being an alcoholic. So, Rahu being conjunct Neptune will give addiction somewhere, generally. So for her, it's the mother. Unless, obviously we said Rahu and Neptune in the 6th house of work for Lisa was the tequila company, but we can't all be so lucky. The Sun Venus is also, that's great for the father, but it's less good for love matters because Venus is getting burnt by the Sun. So now she and her husband have had a very long marriage. They've actually been married since the 90s. Can be good in some ways. Jupiter to Mars for her is 9 houses. That's quite lucky. But 9 houses also could be like just spiritual, or like a, doing the right thing kind of marriage. Maybe it's like a spiritual marriage, if you kind of know what I mean there. They seem happy with it. However, I have to say, Uranus is transiting right now. It's going to turn direct very soon, and it's going to start going back into Taurus. And so soon, I think this year, it's not only going to hit her Sun, 7 houses from the sun, but then across from Venus too. We'll see what happens with Angie and her hairdressing husband. All right, Jen Shah. One of the things that stand out to me with her moon, she's got Rahu, and Rahu with the moon can make you more lunar. So I don't want to say, moon Rahu doesn't always make you crazy, but it doesn't make you not crazy. And, it enables you to kind of influence the masses sometimes, right? Moon is the masses. She's also got, just like, who had this? Mercury and Swati. I think it was Angie I was thinking with the haircutting business. I might not have mentioned this, but they've got Mercury and Swati. Angie had Mercury with the Mars, bringing some, sometimes angry speech. Jen's got it opposite and aspecting into the Mercury as well as a K2 aspect, a very tight K2 aspect to the Mercury. So this can give not only angry speech, but deceitful speech. And Libra is the sign of the marketplace, relationships. So it describes to me the deceit that she's, the deceitful business she's had. Another really interesting thing is the Saturn square Pluto, exact 3 minutes away from each other. And, I read about this aspect as well as the Saturn K2 conjunct. And it's really, they're hard to say what it's going to be like, but can give just a Pluto nature to the Saturn, just, which can be just a ruthless work. A lot of weird stuff here is, I guess, what I'm saying. Yeah, we've been looking at the husband. So they have a similar thing to Meredith and Seth as far as Jupiter Mars being fourth from Jupiter. So, yeah, I don't know. They like to just be homebodies together. I don't remember. But looking across from the moon, the planets across from the moon always describe the husband or the spouse. And so Coach Shah is a Saturn K2 kind of guy. So this is the introverted, serious kind of guy, I guess. Yeah, he certainly wasn't the scene stealer Rahu type that Jen is. I think that's everybody I'm going to talk about today. So thank you so much. Please leave questions and comments. Let me know what city you'd like me to do next. I'm also going to be doing an Ask Annette advice column or, videos. So if you've got any questions and want to send me your birth information along with anybody else who's involved, we can look at this industry and answer some questions for you about the situation. And send that to astrologyannette@gmail.com. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do. Thank you.